Welcome to Scrapland. I'm Regina. I'm so thrilled you're joining me on this journey with the Scrap Journal. I discovered that I had several sketches that I drew up because you can't just adapt a 12 by 12 to fit this size dimension. But these sketches were made from the ground up, and so I'm so glad that you're going to come along with me as we make some layouts and we'll have the sketches. Meanwhile, I'm going to read a few excerpts from my travel journal. Hubby took a local tour on a jitney. I refused to go for fear of it breaking down and not getting back to the ship on time. It had benches, not seats, and no air conditioning. All the windows were down. So I just walked to a local market and bought some t-shirts. Hi scrapbook friends, I am so happy to be back with more layouts for our travel scrap journal. I was searching through my files and I found sketches that I had made for this 6.75 by 10-inch album. And I go, I've got to share this. So I'm going to work on a new layout for this album today. And I'm going to use the sketch. So let's look at what our sketch calls for. Our sketch calls for a band, sort of the half and half band that goes across at 5 inches, and also an oval. Our layout calls for the 5 by 7 oval, which is the biggest one in the collection. The sketch also calls for 3 by 4 cards placed about here. I went through my supplies. I found these. I'm going to turn them into mats for my journal spots. But they would make lovely pictures if you cut a 3 by 4 picture down. This is more like 2 3/4 and 3 3/4, so just 1/4 inch off of each side. So let's get cutting. Once again, I'm just using this piece of paper, which is our size of 6 3/4 by 10 inches tall, to design my page. When I get everything cut and laid out like I want, then it will go inside of our journal. We're going to cut our first piece of paper, which is a scrap, to be 5 inches tall and 6 3/4 inches wide. And this is our bottom piece. This is the only paper we're cutting right now. Furthermore, I found this, and this is where I'm going to cut my oval. I'm going to use my blue blade. I'm going to cut the largest possible oval. So let's talk about the washi tape hack. I'm going to be cutting around the outer rim of my custom cutting template. And the purpose of putting the washi tape on is to prevent the sliding that can come accidentally while we are working. So I'm going to hold my template in place with a little bit of washi tape on the inside because I'll be cutting on the outside. Since I'm using this track, I'm going to put my washi tape here. And now my template is quite snug and should not shift around too easily. That means that if I need to cut again, my template did not move I love the oval templates. They don't get enough love. Don't know why. But when we're dealing with a rectangular format like we are in this project, the ovals just really stand out. Here's our layout, just like our sketch shows. And we'll put a journaling spot here and a journaling spot here. But I'm also looking at quite a bit of real estate here. And I believe I want to turn this into a space where I could also journal. Now I have decided that this space right here will make great journaling spots. And I have two options. One option is the write-on stickers. I could just put strips of these stickers on this oval and have an additional place to write on this page. But I've decided to use the white 12 by 12 notebook lined paper from the designer pack. So I'm going to pull a sheet of this and I'm going to cut an oval out of this paper and make this into a mat. When using an oval, you do want to be careful to be as straight as possible so your lines won't be slanted when your oval is put on straight, unless, of course, that's the look you're going for. But fortunately, there are enough guides on the Creative Memories templates that you can get this quite straight. Once again, I will use a little washi tape to kind of keep my template in place as I'm cutting. And this time, because I used the blue blade the last time, I'm going to use the red blade. Always be sure to get these notches in the track snugly. Now I'm using the old blades because they're still working for me. I have the new blades, and when these get dull, I will get the new blades out. They swivel, making it a bit easier. Now our sketch calls for our two mats to go in these opposite corners. And I just love how much beautiful space for writing is on here. You could turn your mats in the horizontal orientation. I like that. I may do that. But I'm going to follow the sketch this time and keep them vertical because the oval is vertical in this case. Our sketch calls for a decorative element here and here. So because the theme of the papers and the theme of our journal is nautical and ships and sailing, I will pull out my favorite punches on sailing and ships and create some embellishments here. You can also pull up stickers But since my focus is on using my scraps, I'm going to pull out my punches to use more of my scraps. So as I was searching for punches and scraps to decorate this page, I ran across this scrap here. And if you tuned in to my video on the whale tail, I used that and cut it off on that layout. And I think it's going to look great here. So I just get giddy when I use my scraps and even scrap punches. So to put an embellishment in this area, like our sketch shows, I'm going to use the compass punch. It's actually a favorite. And I'll put it there. Once again, I'm not putting a lot of layers on the page because I will be writing and I don't want too much lump and bump, as they call it. So I'm pleased with this general design, and now I'm ready to put it in my journal. We had dinner at Fine Cuts again. We could only get an 8:30 reservation, but it turned out nice. As we were seated near the grand atrium and heard the live band playing. It made for a very nice dinner. Mike had filet mignon, and I had ribeye. As I look through my journal, this is my next open page. Now, let's put our oval down. And once again, we are not seeking perfection. We are seeking good enough. Happy to be using the variety mats up. And now, just a minimal amount of decoration. And we're going to hide this end. So we have this. It's nice and stands out. And last but not least, we put an embellishment up here. And here is our next layout for journaling. I'm really pleased. We went to the show on the Oasis Theater. It included a stand-up comedian. I have wanted to watch a stand-up comedy act as a bucket list item. The comedian was fine. He told a couple of memorable jokes, but I can't remember any of them. I wish I had written it down.